Hello Internet! So I've seen a lot about Spring Prelude online recently, and that really drove me to try out Operation Grenade Victory in the West Volume 2, which is on my Wargame Archaeology series a little while back. So this is really like a very early game of the variable combat system, and I've played quite a few turns. I've set this up a couple of times and started over a few times. I just want to go over what I like about this and what I don't like about it. Ooh, to begin with, I've just got to say that I think the rules are a bit cloudy. They make you, or they don't make you, they assume that you know certain things. So in the counter definitions, it shows you that, if I get a focus, this top line here, that 104-7 is the designation of this unit. What it doesn't tell you is that that is the 7th Corps, but later in the rules and in the scenario, it does say that units within the 7th Corps can't advance past a certain hex row. And it just expects you to know that. It's like, not everyone who plays war games has a military background. And there's an assumption of knowledge there, which I think could be really overwritten just with an extra couple of lines. I mean, there it just says designation. If on the next page it said the designation is this division or this corps of this force, it would really help ease things out there. Now, one thing I really do like about this game, though, is the push and pull of the combat results. So when you lose or win a combat, there are decisions to be made which can really affect how things play out. So if you look at the combat results table I've got here printed off, you'll see that there'll be an A or a D. Let's just take this line here as an example. This point here, D2 with 1 in the parentheses. That means the defender loses that combat. The 1 in the parentheses means they've got to take a step loss. So, for example, a regiment will reduce in strength, then they'll turn into a cadre, then they'll be eliminated. Or a battalion might just get wiped out straight away. There might just be a 1-step counter. So the parentheses tells you exactly what you've got to lose immediately. Then you've got the optional. So with that one, it was a 2 with 1. So there's 1 step less, and there's 2 where you could either lose a step or the entire stack has got to retreat. But let's just say that this stack here lost and they had to retreat by 2 hexes. So 1, 2. The stack which was attacking it can advance as far as there are no other units. So it gives this really good push and pull to the combat, where when you lose, you're choosing whether you want to lose ground or lose strength. And that in itself is a bit of a challenge, because with the strength, another really great thing about this whole system is the variable chip pool strength. Let me pick a counter at random. This one here is if I can get it to focus. So that B, there's 3 different sizes, A, B or C. A is the largest, B is the middle, C is the smallest. And that 3 next to it is their morale level. You can either have the morale of 1, which is the strongest, 2, medium, or 3, the lowest morale. So this is the lowest morale of a medium size. So when this goes into combat for the first time, you don't know how strong it's going to be and how effective it's going to be as a unit. You go to your 3 chip pools. So I've got these shot glasses here. With the containers, I've got the 1 morale, 2 morale, and 3 morale. And that unit was a morale 3, so we'll just give this a little shake. Put a strength counter at random, and then you compare it to its size. Oh, so this would be a 5. But if I pulled a different counter, oh, it'd be strength 9. Or if I'd pulled a different counter, it'd have been, oh, strength 6. So once it gets assigned a counter, that'll get placed underneath it. So it's not easily readable by your opponents unless they've got a good memory. But with the majority of your large units that are going into battle, you don't know how strong they are until they face the enemy. And that's a really good mechanic. I have seen the idea of an optional rule where you redraw the chit every time there's a combat, because the morale may be broken. They may have cleaned and reloaded all their weapons. There could be variances in how they perform on that particular day compared to their size and their morale level. But that little draw works really well. Most war games, there'll be a firepower printed on the counter, so as they go into combat, you know what the defenders are, you know what the attackers are, you generally know what all the DRMs involved are, and you can make an educated guess. Whereas here, the educated guesses can be way out. You've got the ABC that gives you the size of the unit, and that can be a good picture of how strong they're going to be. And their morale level is also a good gauge of how strong they're going to be. But when you pull that chit out, you just don't know how strong they're actually going to be. And once you've pulled the chit and you think, oh, I can retreat with this unit. If you lost with a good chit, you're like, oh, I don't want to reduce this unit. Let's withdraw and pull in the enemy. Or you can think, oh, you know what? I drew a bad chit. This entire unit is toast. Let's just reduce them so that they don't get the chance to advance into my battle line. And that push and pull between the advancing and the retreating at the end of a combat thing is combined with the random assigning of actual combat values. It makes for a really unpredictable game, and I think that is really good. But my other real complaint about this game is there is just so much going on, so many additional rules which they've got no way of showing you looking at the board. So let me get the exclusive rules for the system, and just as a little example, the German movement restrictions on game turn 1, none of the 9th Panzer Division can move. On game turns 1 and 2, none of the 3 units of the 11th Panzer Division can move. No German unit belonging to the 2nd Corps may move unless a strategic withdrawal has been obtained. And you'd think a strategic withdrawal means people are going to pull back, but no, some of the reinforcements you bring onto the board are the 2nd Division. So can they just come on here and not advance until a strategic withdrawal, then they can join? I know it's a bit weird. And for the US, so you've got no US mechanized units can move for the first 3 turns. No US unit belonging to the 7th Corps can move north of the 0900 road, like I mentioned earlier. US 12th Corps would start up here. They are out of supply for the first 6 turns of the game. And we have the turn track here, but that only tells half the story, because before the game starts, the German player can declare that the Rhone River is in a flash flood, which forces the game to start on the 17th of February. Or, if they choose that it's a gradual flood, the American force can choose when it begins between the 17th and the 24th, which also adds values of, if they attack early, they get surprise attack bonuses. So it's almost like the game turn track needs to be the preset turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, and the time based of 18th, 19th, 20th, and you have to set them up like a little slide rule, put the 2 tracks together. Okay, this is the start, this is the end, this is where all the modifiers are, this is when this happens, this is when this happens. At this point the 12th Corps are in supply. At this point the second division are allowed to move. You know, because there's so many little things going on, this little turn track just does not do justice to all the things that are going on. And because they're so spread out sporadically through the rules, it's really hard to keep up with. So, overall, Operation Grenade, I'm probably going to play it one more time, and because now I've played it, well, now I've started it 3 or 4 times and realised what I've got wrong and realised the things that are missing in the rules, I have invested a fair amount of time in this game. So I'm probably going to start it one more time, give it a good go through, and play it to completion. But I probably wouldn't recommend it as something you should go and hunt down. But what I can recommend wholeheartedly is the variable combat system. This is a really early iteration of it. If the chit strength pool they have in Spring Prelude is anything like this, I think that's going to make it as brilliant a game as I've seen. And the chatter I've seen online about it has all been positive. And after playing its great granddad, I can see how that element of the game combined with some more modern game sensibilities can create something really beautiful. So have you ever played anything from the Victory in the West series? Have you played Spring Prelude? Or do you just like Operation Grenade? As always, feel free to drop me something in the comments. I absolutely love chatting with you guys. But until next time, happy gaming!